Hello. It's Cheryl. Welcome back to Heirloom Afternoon. How are you doing this beautiful Tuesday afternoon? My name is Cheryl Muppin Whited. You can call me Muppin. And we come to you for Heirloom Afternoon every Tuesday at 12 noon Central Time. I hope that you are doing wonderfully well. I am doing very well. And in fact, I am not live with you this afternoon. I am recording this on Monday night. And just wanted to remind you that our book is going to be in stock on Wednesday. So that will be, by the time you watch this, that will be tomorrow. Tomorrow, our book will be live and the copies will be here. I will be signing them and sending them out to everyone who pre-ordered. So if you have not yet, go on over to our website and take a look at those items, shop.muppin.com. My friends, we have a lot to tell you today. We are finishing up our lovely little pincushion doll. She's very sweet. And today we're actually going to finish the actual doll. Now, last week, you know that we took some fabric and made a little sample dress. Today, we're going to be sewing with our real fabric, and we're going to be finishing up our little lovely lady. I think she needs a name. I don't know what we should name her, but she does need a name. And it's been a very busy week. All will be revealed in due time. But can I tell you, it's been a very, very extremely busy week. Let's pull up the cam so that you can see. All right. So here is the fabric that we're going to use, this beautiful green. And look at how lovely she's going to look with this green satin. This is what's called a crepe back satin. If you've never used it, if you are a quilter and you're like, that's a garment fabric, Cheryl, I don't do the garment fabric things. Do not be afraid of this. It's very, very, very easy to sew. And I like it quite a bit. I use it for a lot of my costumes. I use it for lots of different sewing projects where I need to have that beautiful glimmer glitter look. And it's very elegant without being very expensive, which is awesome. And I am going to hand sew her her project today. But you could do this by machine if you like. And I think that your results by machine would be equally lovely. I just feel like the gathering and things that I'm going to do, I would like to accomplish those by machine. Now, we determined in the last episode that her base should be about 3 inches, which is interesting because I'm trying to see if there's a correlation between the height of the doll and the base. And so she is not even quite 2 inches high, and yet we have a 3-inch base for her. And I have cut out a piece of cardboard with this this diameter, and I've used my little just one of my circle templates that I have lying around. Cut out a piece of cardboard. I believe this was the backing to a notepad. So I just take the cardboard from wherever I can. This is thin cardboard. You could use like cereal box cardboard or something like that if you like. And I have used a regular fabric glue stick. So one of these Sew-Line glue sticks to glue the fabric to the base. And so that's all nice and tidy. And I'm going to go ahead and start sewing this together. Now I have right sides together because when I flip this, they will the seams will be tucked inside. And the length of this dress piece is the just over the circumference of the circle. So we're going to go ahead and start sewing this, and we're going to try to make this butt right up to the cardboard. So I'm just going to and I'm going to back tack here, or stay stitch, whatever you want to call that, just to give that initial spot a little bit of strength. And I am going to do a running stitch, not a very long running stitch, just trying to take little tiny stitches to get her base attached to her dress. So I hope you are doing well. Like I said, the book is nearly here. I said the other day, what I noticed was you always notice car commercials when you're in the market for a car, and you don't really pay attention to them any other time. Every once in a while there may be one that catches your eye, but for the most part, you don't notice car commercials or commercials for something that until you are in the market and you need them. Well, I did not realize that there was still a paper shortage on certain types of paper, and of course you don't need paper, or you don't notice those things until you're writing a book. And that has been what we have been going through with the book. Today we're drinking out of our Skull coffee mug that was given to me by a viewer. So thank you. I know I'm not live today, so I miss saying hello to all of you, but we have an eye doctor's appointment that is long overdue. And let me tell you, the eye doctor and I, I've had some trouble with my eyes in the past. I've had a near retinal thing going on, and so I try to be very careful with my eyes, and so yeah, it's been a kind of a rough week. It is very warm still here in Chicago. I'm very, very tired of the warm weather. And I feel like it has gone from cold weather straight to summer. And I don't know about you, but I like a little bit of variety with my weather. I would like to at least enjoy the spring and not have like this giant swing of temperatures. I would like some cooler days. And somebody told me that we have like 4 days of spring and 4 days of fall. And I kind of agree with that here in Chicagoland. It's been that kind of weather. So I find this fabric really easy to sew, and just so that you can see how our finished seam will look, I think that's going to come out really, really lovely. So we're going to keep going here. And I am making small stitches only because, I want this to work out very delicately. And what's nice is the crepe back satin, the weave of the satin gives it a very slight like bias edge. It doesn't actually have a bias. It does have a bias. But if you look at the weave on the front, you can see that the weave goes in this direction, which is the direction that I've cut the fabric. But as you can see, as I'm attaching it here to the circle on the bottom, it does give you a little bit of ability to curve it like you would a bias if it was cut on the bias. So it's a slippery little sucker. For those of you that don't like working with slippery fabrics, I feel like this is one of the easier ones to work with. Now we've got a little thread booger, and I'm gonna try to pull that out with the needle. There it goes. I am very skilled with the thread snots. They're not knots. They're not fun. So I call them thread boogers. And I just find that they always seem to happen to me whenever I am sewing live. I have sewn on national television, my friends. And let me tell you, they don't stop. They just let you keep on going, and you have to just roll with it and hope for the best. And you can see me screw up on TV all the time. I just laugh about it. And I don't know about you, but as soon as I record something, I really don't go back and watch it. I don't know how many of you feel about recordings of yourself, but even us professionals, sometimes we do not like to watch recordings of ourselves. I heard that the actor Adam Driver doesn't watch his own stuff. So let's see, are we going to make it all the way around? Yeah, we are. That's awesome. Okay, just wanted to make sure that our circle is, going the way we need it to. Okay, so we're going to keep on going on here. So yeah, I think that, again, certain people don't like to watch themselves on TV. I don't. I am not the kind of person who likes to watch how bad I sound. I also know that my voice goes up in recordings. So sometimes people meet me and you're like, oh, your voice is a little bit different than it is on TV. It's because my voice goes up. At least I notice that it does. I don't know. I don't know. So as we're making our way around here, we are going to make a seated, and I'm just moving this into more light so I can work on it. But I'm going to talk about this doll. If you remember from the episode where we found her, we actually removed her existing dress. And because she was seated, we kind of need to do a little bit more or different things with her. She's just not your normal doll. And let's see, do I have this ready? Oh, you know what? This is why I had to move into more light. The camera is creating a shadow here, and it's hard for me to see. But anyway, so she had a very homemade little overdress that was obviously to cover up the fact that she had a falling apart dress underneath. And when we opened that up, we were able to see that. You could, she was stuffed with sawdust. She was not stuffed with like polyfill or anything like that. I do believe that she's from the 20s or the 30s. So she's quite old. And, well, let's see here. Oh, did I miscalculate the circumference here? No, I did not. Okay. I had a little panic moment. I was like, oh no, did I do it wrong? Does not look like I did. So, all right. And now we have gone all the way around. And we are ready to start sewing up the back of her dress. And let's get this started. Okay, so here is the back side. Oh, let me move her. Sorry, lady. We need to give her a name. And I don't know about you, but I love old-timey names. My grandmother-in-law, that is a person. Her name was Hilda. And like, you can't ask for a better old-timey name than Hilda. Hilda. She was fantastic. I miss Hilda. She was very into all the things that I was doing. She thought that my quilting and interest in all of that was super. And she really encouraged me. And I liked Hilda. Loved her even. And then her sisters, one of them was Ida. And I always liked Ida because of great Aunt Ida. There was also, I like Edith. Edith is also, I like Edith because of Downton Abbey, and I do like Edith's character on Downton Abbey. Who else? Viola is another one, and I often like Viola as a good like classic lady's name. Yeah, so those are some good ones. I don't know what this lady wants to be named, but we have to think of something. Maybe it'll be Hilda after Grammy, as we called her. Called her Grammy. All right, so we're getting here to the top. And it is fraying a little bit. Don't worry about that. Your stitches are going to be further in and won't make a difference for that. And so right here at the top now, and I'm going to take a couple of tack stitches, which are just stay stitches in place. That just gives a little more security to where we're going to put our knot. And we're going to give that a little trim. And there we go. Okay, so now let's flip all of this. There we go. Now, don't forget, this is glued, and so if it looks a little puckery, I'm not going to worry about it. It's all that's going to be on the bottom, and this part here is for the top. So now we have to create the stitches that will go around her waist. And we need a new piece of thread, and I'm actually going to use a double length of thread for this because we are going to be pulling on it tight. And this pulling section, we want to fold the edge over because we want a nice, clean area that is going to go up against the body of the doll. So we're going to give this a nice big knot. That's a big quilter's knot there. I've given it like a big hoopla. And we're going to start this back here on the back side. Now, if you're wondering, like, what are we going to do with her legs? Because if you remember, like Lieutenant Dan here, she's got legs. She's one of the few dolls that actually does have legs. And normally they don't. So you would not have to worry about that if you get yourself a doll that does not have legs. We have a doll that does. So we are going to figure out how to position those legs here. And we are taking tiny stitches along our folded over edge. And you can see we're stacking them up on the needle. And because we are pulling on this thread very tightly, I'm using this double length of thread. Anytime you have a lot of pressure on a thread, you're going to want to make sure you use a good, secure, and strong thread. It's the having a double length just gives you some insurance in case something were to happen, like the thread were to break or pop at some point. Look at how sweet the folds look with the gathering. It using a satin or a sateen kind of fabric. If you were using cotton, you could use cotton sateen. You could use polished cotton. You could use there's satin refers to the weave of the fabric, not the material. I don't know if you knew that. So you could use a satin weave fabric, and it would have a little bit of that luster. A lot of satins and cotton sateens are beautiful to quilt with. So my quilters out there, you've not tried a sateen, you probably would want to try one in your quilting. Okay, so we're getting here to the end, and we have some stuffing. And we're going to just go right into the last spot where there is the final dress. And we're going to now give her a little bit of stuffing. We're not removing the thread just yet. We're not tying it off or anything. We're just going to give this, and I just am stuffing her with polyfill. I actually had to go steal this polyfill from another project. So I've got a couple of naked projects that need some polyfill. Yeah, I don't know where all of my polyfill is right now. I used it in a class recently, so I think that's where it all went. Oh yeah, So you don't need a whole lot, but you do want her to be stuffed well, because we want her body to be somewhat rigid, so that pins go in there very well. And also we just want this to have some heft. Now the cardboard is going to help push out, the bottom, and make our dress look very finished on the bottom. But we do, I'm trying to sense how much more we need, and I think we're good. Maybe just a hair more. Just a little tiny bit more. Oh, there's random threads from another project. All right, so just a tiny bit more. And we do want to make sure we leave room for her inside here. But that is a very good, beautiful stuffing that we've got going on. I just love it. So pretty. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we sort of enclose her in that. And she does have a little bit of stuffing sticking out. So we'll just pull those little strands away. And we're going to close it up with her with her in there. And then we're going to try to sew her into it because she has holes that we can stitch through. And I just want to see where the first one is. Okay, so the first one is over there. All right. So we need to take a tack stitch here just to keep all of our stitches from coming undone. And if you don't get that one right, what we can do is we can pick it back up with the back end of our needle. There we go. And what we're doing is we're pulling everything shut. Well, not shut. We don't want it to be shut. But we're sort of anchoring it. And then we can put her back in. Sort of slide her in there. And now we can tie our knot. And then we can stitch her in. Okay, so I see one of my stitch holes, and there's also one in the front. All right, so if you can see right here is one of her holes, and we're going to try to get our needle all the way across here, and then we're going to go down and straight in and come out the back side. Okay, and so now she's anchored in two places. There's also one hole over here. So we're just going to go straight through. And we're going to try to come out of that hole. Or nope, we're going to go straight to that side. Sorry, I had that wrong. And then we're going to go into that hole. And it looks like there's one straight across. So let's see if we can get across to that hole. It looks like my needle did it. Yay! All right, maybe not. So what we're going to do then is we're just going to go into the fabric. She's already stitched there once. Oh, broken. Okay, so we did a couple stitches, so let's see if we can make another knot. This happens. This is why we anchor as we go. And I want to hide this knot on the back side underneath. And it looks like that side came out. So we'll cut across right there. And now we'll go down into that hole. Let's see if we can do this thing where we cut straight across. It kind of works, but not really. All right, so it does look like we have her secured on a couple sides. So now just need to fluff the fluffing. And we need to stay stitch. I'm going to do a couple of them and a knot. Now, don't worry. You're like, oh, I can see all of her her ceramic of her waist. And isn't that supposed to be hidden? Yes, don't worry. We have another step. Now, you could stop right here. You could put a lovely ribbon around her waist, and that could be enough. Or you could be extra. And we, my friends, are going to be extra. And the reason we're going to be extra is because we have legs that we want to use in our design here. And so I have this beautiful piece of velvet that I wanted to use to create a little hidden area here where we could attach her legs, and the velvet would cover the top part of the legs. And so it will make it look like she's, you know, that she's sitting on a cushion. So we're going to attach the legs last, but we're going to do the same thing to this piece of velvet that we just did. And that is, we're going to use a double length of thread. And if you wanted to, you could, you know, again, stop here with your doll. You could choose not to put the legs on if you had them, or you could find a way to put the legs on, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make it look like she's sitting on this beautiful cushion with this velvet dress hanging down. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to do the same thing. Now, the velvet has a lot of, it doesn't really need to be finished on the edges. So I don't need to do the folding over of the edge. I just do need to take a stay stitch here so that my knot doesn't pull out. And we can create our little running stitch. This is a stretch velvet. It was a velvet that I was using for a costume. And, you know, keep little scraps like this for projects like this. I know there are certain people that are thinking like, oh, a scrap this size, I wouldn't keep it, but you just never know what kind of awesome project will come up that you could use a little scrap of velvet for. Now, this velvet it has a pile, okay? So that's what this furry side of the velvet is called. It's called a pile. And when you sew with it, it actually has a tendency to bunch up against itself and create a lot more space than a regular fabric. So we don't need a lot of it. It's actually a shorter piece than the actual dress. And we have that there. Okay, so now we're all the way to the end. And what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this around her waist, tuck it here up under her arm, and all the way under her other arm. She's got a lot of arms. She's got a lot of room there. And we're going to enclose the two ends. And now we're going to make it tight around her waist. And notice this is helping cover the ceramic. So we have, oh, she's just so pretty. And we're going to make sure that we center this, this front, because if we don't make this front centered now, it will never be centered on her, like, ever. And so we really need to make sure. Oh, and I did this length perfectly. Look at that. All right, so we need to make sure that this front here is just right where we want it. And a lot of the times the thing that will be in the way is her arms, because it pokes down into the dress. So we want to just make sure, and of course she's leaning, we want to make sure that this front is exactly where we want it. There we go. I think that's great. Okay, so now we're going to once again go through the layers there. Oh, I just poked myself with the needle. I hate that. Oh, there's that break. That's why we double thread. Yeah, there we go. So she's nice and centered. Let's give this a knot. And trim that off. Okay. So now we can tuck in the legs. And what we can do is we can see the hole for the legs. We can sew them directly on the front of where she's sitting, so that the velvet covers it. And we can, if we want, go ahead and cover that even more. We can actually make stitches there to cover that up. So let's get our thread. Do we have enough here? Looks like we do. All right, and so we're just gonna pull back the dress. And we're going to try to center those legs right where we want them, so it makes her look like she's sitting. And we may need to move them over just slightly, but we're going to try here to just catch the fabric. Try to get through that hole. Like, I can see it. There it goes. Oh, and there was no knot. How many times have you done that? I do that all the time. I forgot to make a knot. I tell you. Oh yeah. I would lose my head if it weren't attached. So, all right. Let's try that again. And we're going to go right through that little hole. There we go. And up and over. I'm going to try to go through a couple times. Come on. Here we go. Because we want that to be really attached. It's really nicely placed. All right, and so now we just go back up here at the top, and we create a knot here. And she's pretty attached. Okay, so now what we need to do is, you can still see the part there for her, for her legs. You can still see the original I guess you would call it like the other part, the unfinished part. So we are going to give her a little bit more. Because why not? All right, so I have this pretty trim here. And let's see what we need to do for her. Do we have enough to go around the whole doll? It's like just enough. Just enough. It's just enough, my friends. I am so excited. Okay, so now let's do this. All right. Now it does look like we need to like curve it here at the bottom, but that's not a problem because I think that would even be kind of pretty to have a little curve here. It's like she's sitting with her voluminous on her voluminous pillow. All right. Let's see. We need a nice long piece of thread. And we're going to start by sort of finishing this one edge of this. Because we don't want like pokey edges to be poking her. Oh, I made a terrible knot. That's how sometimes you know that your thread is too long, when you make a knot that's like a little obnoxious. Obnoxious? I'm a terrible punner. And so there we go. Come on. Work with me here, thread. Okay. So, all right. We've got the knot. No, we don't. It's going to be one of those days. Like I was saying, it's Monday night. We have a doctor's appointment for both of us to get our eyes checked. So that's why we're not live. And looks like we are ready. Okay. So I'm going to fold over the edge of this trim so that we have a nice finished edge. And I'm just going to take a few stitches. Oh, this thread is very long. I probably should have waxed it, but que sera. Is it going to work out for me though? Let's see. Let's see. Nope. Yes. No. No. Yes. Thread boogers are the worst. I tell you. I get them, and I try not to use long pieces of thread because I always get a thread booger. There we go. All fixed. Just take your time. Most people just chop it off and try again. Now you're stuck on my ring. Oh, goodness. What a day. All right. So we're just trying to get the edges folded over so we have a nice finished edge that we attach to her here at her legs. Now, I could have done this. I could have attached this first. Someone out there will be like, shouldn't you attach that first? Yeah, sure, could have. But I also like to plan on the fly, as many people do. Oh, this thread is going to be the bane of me. Did it work out? Did it kind of work out? There we go. There we go. young lady. I need you to stay still while I attach this lovely trim to your dress. Could I have attached all of this with machine? Yes. I also love to hand sew, so I kind of don't mind this. Not one bit. And it shouldn't take very long because we're just, tacking the trim into place. We're not doing, a grand, a grand anything here. We want it to be secure, but we don't want this trim to be coming off. But we also don't, want to take the world's tiniest stitches and be here all night. I know I have other things to do. I'm sure you do as well. She is turning out quite lovely. Don't get the thread caught on her legs. There is that. And here's where we're curving it. We're just going to take the corner down for her dress. And that will be enough. Yep, went around her legs again. She's very ooh la la. This trim is very pretty. I forget what I bought it for. Probably a costume. But again, just like all of my fabrics for costuming, I just love to keep the leftovers. And I think this piece ended up being just perfectly long enough. And you can't ask for better. So there we go. All right, so now we just have this straight line on the back here. I'll get around to the back side. This you can almost do like a running stitch. We want to make sure that we aren't crinkling it. We wanted to help finish this edge too. Even though the velvet is very pretty on its own, doesn't really need to be finished. I think this gives her a lovely, just that final finished edge, that she's finally done. I mean, if you looked at the other doll examples from the first episode where we started talking about these, episode 14, 15, maybe even both, there was trim on the dolls' dresses. And, with that trim, allows you to, all right, so do we have enough? We were supposed to have enough. Oh, I didn't make the curvy-ish enough. Well, we'll do that on this side. Because we need to make sure that it goes all the way. All right, so let's see. What can we do? Well, we can, because this is just hand tacked, we can make an adjustment. Don't be afraid to fail, right? I make mistakes all the time. And I don't want you to be afraid to make mistakes, especially when you're winging a dress like I am here. You're not, you may not be, this may be your very first time designing a doll dress. And it is sometimes takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of serendipity. Let me move her back into the frame so you can see what I'm doing here. I am just taking the thread out so that we can move this curve. This curve needs to be a little bit deeper so that we have enough trim to go all the way around. We did test it and it went all the way around. This is why you should always use a little bit longer piece than you have so that you're not doing what I'm doing. But let's see. All right, so we're back up here, and I think we need to just make a sharper turn, as it were. And that's okay. She will be lovely in the end. There we go. I've got our thread a little more shortened so that we can work with it a little easier. Now, are we on the top or are we on the bottom? Oh, we're on the bottom. Oh, we're on the top. It's gonna be one of those days. See, that's the thing about video. You just never know where it's gonna go. All right, so now I've got this nice big curve going. Way deeper than the previous one. That's going to give us a little bit more room. And you could leave the corners on. I don't know that I will. I think I will take the corners down. I'll cut them down, I mean. But, you know, again, you know, this is the thing, that the thread gets trapped around her. Don't forget, you have to free her from her thread prison. She's coming together here. Now she's got her beautiful gold trim. I think the gold really accentuates the green. When I bought all this trim, I do remember the project was going to be green. And I do think that really does add a lot of pizzazz to this little doll. She's just so, like, charming now with her little gold trim. And her feet are gold. I don't know if you can see that. But her little shoes are golden. So this is a nice trim to use. So there's the curve that we're going for. And so we need to start angling up. And I'm turning her on her side so I can get access here. Sometimes the actual thing itself is hard to sew through. The trim can be challenging to get your needle through it. It's kind of like a metallic, you know, thread that you're piercing, so it's trying to fight me a little bit. See how I'm trying to get in there? All right, so now we're getting up close to the front again. This is where we're going to need to, like, have her help us. And we're also going to use her this gold trim to help close the gap. So if we're going to have it come together like this, we're also going to have her, trying to just zhuzh it, as the kids say. Where are we at here? It's all twisted around here, so let's get that going. Because we need the gold trim to help close over her unfinished ceramic portion of her leg. So this raw edge is going to get tucked under the other side. So we don't need to come all the way to the front, but we do want to catch these loose threads of the gold trim. So we're going to make a couple little passes here, try to keep those from escaping. There we go. See how that made that nice and tidy. And now we're going to cross the fabric over her legs, and I'm going to come up through this top part, and we're going to just sew these two pieces of trim together right here at the front, and make sure that all the little raw edges are tucked under there. Well, let's see here. I think that needs to be fixed just a little bit. This is where hand sewing comes in nice and handy, because if you did this by machine, you'd be doing a lot of unstitching. There we go. I had it stuck in my hand. That's why it didn't want to come out. All right. We're almost done. We're almost done, and we're almost out of time. Getting to that end, I'm very excited about this little project. She turned out so cute. All right, there we go. Now we're looking better. That's better. Okay. Oops. Yep, we went right under her legs again. Look at how much better that looks. Just adorable. Okay, so now I'm going to take a knot, run that thread to the back, take another knot. That's insurance, like I like to say. We're going to trim that, and then we're going to trim away this excess right next to our gold. And you can see there, we're just trimming that away. That's one side. And let's do that to the other. Every time you cut into velvet, there's like a little poof of little velvety fuzz. There we go. Just perfect. Okay, so we just sometimes need to make sure she's leaning the proper direction. And that's just the stuffing. You can move the stuffing around in there. If you find that the dress is not staying where you want it, you could tack stitch the dress down in a couple of places, which would be, perfectly appropriate too. But she is finished. And I think that I probably will do that. I probably will just tack her dress down to the base in a couple of places. And I just love how she's turned out. And she's perfectly fine with having beautiful pins put into her dress, and they go in very sweetly. Oh, I just love it. I just love it. It came out just the way we needed it to. My friends, I hope that you have enjoyed our little doll adventure. Don't forget, tomorrow, the book is no longer on pre-order. You'll be able to buy it directly. So please go pick up your copy. And I will see all of you next week. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful week. Don't forget, come back next Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central Time. And don't forget to visit our website to pick up that book, shop.muppin.com. I am Muppin. Thank you for joining us for Heirloom Afternoon. Take care and see you next week. Bye-bye.